Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Football Therapy Deadline Day with me, your host Jan. Hope you're doing well, friends. Really do hope that Chelsea moving like they ain't got a pulse, but there are still news stories circulating around Chelsea Football Club, largely regarding Ousmane Dembele, who Barcelona are seemingly desperate to get off the books today if they can. Yes, we're going to talk about that. Also reflect on Frank Lampard announced as the Everton manager and him moving mad in the transfer window. Everyone is except Chelsea, but I kind of understand why. We're going to get into that, so welcome on in. I had a haircut today, only minor, but a little bit more trim, so, you know, bit more presentable for you, man. I'd urge you to drop a like. See if we can go over 2,000 likes for today's video. That would be helpful, mate. And you're, of course, all welcome to subscribe. I react instantaneously to Chelsea news here on this channel. So it's an opportunity to turn the bell notifications icon on and be the first to see what's going on. Let's talk about Frank Lampard. Super Frank Lampard has of course been announced as Everton boss. We could expect maybe some Chelsea players going there at some point, as he still obviously remains having a great relationship with Chelsea Football Club. He did a great interview. I'm sure a lot of you who are still very interested in Frank Lampard's progress and development as a manager might have watched his announcement video. A lot of the Everton fans are very excited, made all the right noises as Frank Lampard usually does, spoke about the academy, which you believe him. Looking at his body of work at Chelsea, he will implement more academy players, and he's made 2 signings already. Very much sort of attacking 8 style players. You can imagine Frank playing a 4-3-3. In Everton, he signed Donny van de Beek on loan from Manchester United. I spoke about how Lampard was a big fan of the Ajax team, bought the jewel in the crown at Hakim Ziyech for his Chelsea team, and now he has Donny van de Beek, albeit just a loan. Maybe Everton will look to buy him. Interestingly as well, he's sealed Dele Alli, it looks like. 2 attacking midfielders who have had their careers in the dumps, respectively. Donny van de Beek had his sort of career ruined by Manchester United, and Dele Alli just sort of fizzled away at Tottenham. So if Frank Lampard can revive both their careers, he'll be doing a good job. I'm not going to speak too long about Frank Lampard, but very interesting to see him there. I do think Chelsea might have more conversations, sort of negotiations with Everton moving forwards because Lampard is there, and it's relevant to Chelsea. Plus, of course, I'm a Frank Lampard super fan. I want him to do well. I imagine a lot of you are as well. Feel free to go watch his announcement video or first interview of Everton. It would make you feel good. And we wish him all the best here on Football Therapy. So let's talk about transfer deadline day. News coming out from Spanish media, reported by Slow Sports, Sky Sports, late. Again, reacting to news as we do here on Chelsea News and Football Therapy, that he has been offered to Chelsea. Emotional roller coaster. Clearly Barcelona want Ousmane Dembele off the books frantically. Not because he's injured and not because he's a bad player, but because he's a player with 6 months left on this deal that won't renew, so they want to get some money for him, and also because he's not a player, because he's a player that's not committed to their cause, they want to alleviate themselves from his wages. And, you know, Chelsea, in terms of a financial potentiality, this deal, he will cost next to nothing in a transfer fee. He's 24 years old, and he's a massive favourite of Chelsea manager Thomas Tuchel. They have a great mutual respect. Tuchel loves the player loves Tuchel. All this stuff we've discussed before on Football Therapy, and I'm sure should this deal somehow happen, semi-miraculously, I'll be regurgitating this information again because it's important and relevant to this transfer. Now, the reports are suggesting he's been offered this month, to the end of the day, so at time of recording there's a matter of hours. Sometimes you get an extension on these deals. The problem with Chelsea is, I think they were in... Okay, I've read this, let's talk over here. They were in negotiations with Barcelona on this player. They've spoken to the agent. I think they've even offered fees. They've offered an agent fee. So Chelsea have expressed interest. But reports suggest Chelsea have reflected on this realistically, like, dude, we've got all these players, we can't sell a player, is it really going to be helpful bringing this guy in now? What are we doing? Do you know what I mean? And that there's that very sensible element, right? And then there's the conflicting, well, this player is a young, very talented player of high value for like little to nothing that our coach wants. So there's that. Plus there's the sort of stimulating football fan element of, it's a new signing. It's exciting. He's high profile. I want that dopamine hit that I get when I see a new player holding up the shirt, and we can imagine all these wonderful promises that will almost certainly not come to pass if you look at Chelsea's Galactico signings of late. Do you know what I mean? So it's exciting. You do want it to happen. At the same time, Chelsea have got a bunch of talented players. Yes, largely dysfunctional, something that I've spoken about here on the channel before. Chelsea's talented attack that just doesn't work. Ousmane Dembele, this is a player that would be a player that's been coached by Thomas Tuchel, that Thomas Tuchel has been the only coach to get the best out of him. That's the body of work, that's the evidence that we have to reflect on. So I ultimately, like I said to you guys in the previous video, I would not be like, oh yeah, this is a target I've always wanted at Chelsea as an attacker. No, that's not the case. But I know he's like a high-profile, third most expensive player in the world. And I know Tuchel loves him, so if Tuchel wants him, suddenly it makes a lot of sense, you know? In theory, right? Will this deal happen? Obviously, the odds are against Chelsea, but Chelsea have pulled off like wonder late, transfers before. They've done it many, many times. I remember David Luiz like turning up to the second time he signed. He turned up really, really late in the night, didn't he? And just sort of appeared out of nowhere and signed with Chelsea when Conte arrived. Chelsea might be looking to do this. Obviously, the last we heard, Ousmane Dembele was going off to PSG. And it was so predictable in terms of French kid going to the Parisian super club. It would pay him high wages. They love a sort of free transfer, semi-free transfer in this instance. And that's fallen through. Barcelona are desperate to get rid of him. Again, not because he's a bad player, but because of their situation. So with that, Chelsea could be in a position of power to take advantage. They're desperate to get rid of him. What does that mean? Does that mean they're going to say to Chelsea, take him. Just take him. Sign him. Give him his sign-on fee. There's going to be no transfer fee, or there'll be like a £2 million transfer fee. We just want to not take, because there's the interesting part about this now is they want to sign Aubameyang onto their books. And we know about the big problems over at Barcelona regarding the salary cap. It's why Lionel Messi had to leave the club. He wanted to stay, they wanted him to stay, but even if he halved his wages, they couldn't do it because they'd met the salary cap. It's basically La Liga's style of financial fair play. You can't pay players over a certain amount, or in total. So theoretically and speculatively here, I haven't checked this, but correct me if I'm wrong. What I imagine the problem with Aubameyang is they'll want to pay his wages, even if it's on a loan. Arsenal won't want to pay his wages. I think he's on ridiculous money at Arsenal, and of course he's training with the reserves, so Arsenal would massively want to get his wages off the books, and Barcelona would probably welcome him as like an elite European striker, depending on how you view Aubameyang these days. So if they get Ousmane Dembele off the books, they could probably register Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang from Arsenal for a loan with an option to buy, I guess. There'll be people in the Camp Nou offices right now scampering all over the gaff saying, how can we get rid of this guy? So that's why I'm guessing, that's why I'm speculating to the point of, yeah, maybe they just say, all right, mate, take him. And then they get, Marina Granovskaya goes to Thomas Tuchel, we can take him. I know you've got a bloated squad of attackers. Do you want him? And then Tuchel may say, sure, I love Ousmane Dembele. He's my favourite attacker. Yes, please. He might go somewhere else in the summer. How do we feel about this? Look, could he be a flop at Chelsea? Yes. Could he be another, he's notorious for being on the medical bench, like Pulisic, even though Pulisic's fit, both of them are fit at the moment. Could Chelsea back themselves to keep him fit? He's still only 24, remember? He's not like a 29-year-old he's still young, basically. I don't know, man. Personally, I feel like because he's so young, and because Chelsea would be signing for little to nothing, Chelsea won't make a loss on him. Even if he doesn't work out at Chelsea and ends up not playing football, they'll sell him for obviously more than what they got him for, because they'll get him for next to nothing, if not nothing, a compensation fee maybe, or maybe, a cheap transfer fee at most. And then, they'll get their money back, and they would have had a punt on a player that the manager loves. Maybe you sell him to China for like £30 million and he just goes and gets mega wages out. Do you know what I mean? Whatever, in 2 years, something like that can happen. I feel like there's a relative little risk involved with Ousmane Dembele because of, you know, the money involved and because of the position Barcelona are in terms of trying to just get rid of him. So that's the situation. I'm gonna keep it locked. I'm gonna keep my eye on deadline day for the next few hours. So make sure you keep it locked to Football Therapy. Turn that bell on, and I'll keep you guys posted of everything that happens. So I'll see you very soon. Peace.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me, baby.